Hi, this is Gary from 3Bug Media, and today we're going to talk about Copywriting 101, creating compelling headlines that grab attention, and the AIDA principle. So before we start, why are headlines so important? Well, when it comes to copywriting, headlines is probably your most important element. Why? Because if somebody doesn't resonate with your headline, they're most likely never going to read the rest of your copy, whether that's an ad or a blog post or something like that. So your headline is that make or break moment for a reader where they're going to make that split-second decision if they're going to continue on to the rest of what you have to say. So headlines are super important, and we're going to break it down into a quick little concept here called ROT. And if you can follow this formula, you'll find that you'll make some pretty great headlines. So what is ROT? Well, it's results that people want. It's objections, answering their objections in your headline, and a time frame when they can see results. So let's give an example here. Gain 5 pounds of muscle in 2 weeks, even if you don't lift weights. So that might be a good one if you're a personal trainer, something like that. Maybe you do lawn care. Have a green, weed-free lawn in 30 days, even if your grass is dead. Or something like me, if you're in marketing, get on the first page of Google in 2 weeks, even if you don't have a website. Now, if somebody gave you that offer, I'd probably run for the hills, but I'm just giving you an example. Now, in all of these, you'll see gain 5 pounds of muscle, the results somebody's looking for. If you're a personal trainer or you own a gym or something like that, in 2 weeks. So you give a very specific time frame when they can expect to realize the results of if they pay for your product or service. And you're answering an objection, even if you don't lift weights right now. Maybe there's a solution, maybe do body training, things like that, where weights may not be needed. So you're answering that objection of you don't have to be able to lift weights or you don't need experience lifting weights. So that's a basic formula. If you can keep these 3 things, ROT, when you're creating your headlines, you'll answer the 3 most important things. Results that people want, what they're gonna get out of your product or service. You're going to answer their main objection, and you're going to give a time frame of when they can see those results. The next thing we're going to talk about is AIDA. AIDA is probably the most common and important concept when it comes to copywriting. And AIDA is broken down into attention, interest, desire, and action. And all 4 of these are kind of the stages that people take from the first time they meet your product or service, whether that's through an ad or a blog post or something like that, to the moment they decide if they're going to purchase from you or not. So let's go over these. Attention. So the first thing you want to do, like we just talked about your headline, is grab people's attention. You want to grab their attention, you want to perk their ears up. Because if you don't get their attention right away, they're going to make that split-second decision not to spend the next 2 minutes reading your ad or reading your blog post or something like that. And they're going to move on, and they're never going to get to see all the things that you can offer them. So you have to get their attention. Once you've gotten their attention, now you have to get them interested. So turn their attention into interest, and you're going to use facts, figures, stories. You may have a compelling story about your brand or your product or service and how you've gotten results for clients just like them. You may spit out some facts and figures to really get them interested in your product or service. So first thing you can do is grab their attention, then you're going to get their interest. Next thing you want to do is get desire going for them. And desire is where you really want to make them buy. You want to show them what life is like with your product or service on there. You want them to start envisioning how much better their life is going to be if they decide to work with you or they decide to buy your product or use your service or something like that. So you want to paint that picture. You want to create that desire where they really start to crave whatever it is you're offering on there. And lastly, action. So all of this is no good unless you give them a call to action and they ultimately wind up buying your product or service. So you want to tell them what to do next. So you don't want to leave it up to them to try to figure out what steps they need to do in order to take the next step. You want to make it very clear for them what to do next, and you want to walk them through the process to let them know what's going to happen next. So let's give a little online marketing example of how something like this would work. So first thing you have is your ad. So that would be your attention. So maybe you're running a Facebook ad or Google AdWords or something like that. You're going to run your ad with an awesome headline, grab their attention, they're going to click on the ad, they're going to come to your landing page on your website. And here is where you're going to start to generate that interest. You're going to start talking, maybe tell a story, facts, figures, case studies, testimonials, things like that. Really start to make your case of why your product or service is so compelling to them. Okay, so once you've gotten their interest, the next thing you want to do is get your desire. Now your desire could be on your landing page too. If you're trying to make the sale right on that page or get them to fill out a contact form or call you, you're going to do your interest and your desire right there on that page. And you're just going to really load them up with that action, with those facts, those figures, you know, how it's going to improve their life, things like that, to get them to take that action. If you have a different sales funnel, say if you're doing like financial services or real estate, where you're not going to make a sale off the first ad, the first click, things like that, then your goal may be to get them onto an email list where you can slowly work on them and take them through your marketing funnel. And that's where you may bring your desire to your emails. And that's where, you know, you get your attention, your interest, and then get them on your email list. And then over time, you start to slowly build that desire. And lastly, we're going to have our call to action. And the call to action can be placed anywhere, your landing page, your emails. It could be right in your ad too. And the call to action is just, this is what you need to do if you want our product or service. This is the next step. Here's a number, here's a website. When you go there, this is what you have to do. You make it super easy for them. You make it plain as day. So there's none of them worrying about, you know, what do I do next? How do I purchase this? Or what do I have to do? You make it very easy for them to take that next step with a very clear call to action. Okay, so this is Copywriting 101. If you can get these two things right, you'll be ahead of the game than most businesses. And don't forget, your headline is your most important thing. So whether you're creating an ad, writing a blog post, creating a newsletter, spend as much time on your headline than you do on the rest of your copy, because it's make or break. If you write a poor headline, most people will not continue on to the rest of your copy. And if you can follow this AIDA principle, attention, interest, desire, action, when you're writing your ads, when you're creating your blog post, when you're writing a newsletter, things like that, keep these steps in mind and you're going to do very well. Okay, hope you learned a little bit. If you have any questions, you can go to 3bugmedia.com and you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Thank you very much and have a good day.